Hey guys, this is another theory about Pierce Washington. For a time, hear me out guys, for a time when Pierce was like going through all kinds of variables of the motion and coasting through life during the like events of like Saints Row 1 and was homeless for a time and had tried to reach out to his friends from his school days. Yep, his school days. And let's just say his school days, such as going to let's call his schools that he went to before going to Stillwater University, let's call them 5 Alarm Elementary, for example. Now his school friends from 5 Alarm Elementary had cut ties with them after some of them either grew up and moved on with their lives or moved away. He tried to bum a place to live. Then he tried to go to his like middle school friends to bum a place to stay because he was orphaned. And that's a theory. A theory that is a theory. And with the way the very middle school, let's call it like Bumperton Junior High. And in Bumperton Junior High, here's a theory that it was located around, like, adjacent to the Chinatown district in Stillwater and the apartment complex in Stillwater. Back when both those neighborhoods were under Westside Rollers' control. And with that in of itself, like with that, let's say Pierce tried to reach out to his Bumperton junior high friend named Mark Galastis. Now, Pierce Washington tried to bum a place to live off of Mark. And Mark ended up like Mark tried to tell him that he couldn't have him in his apartment. And with that, Pierce was sleeping out on the streets in Stillwater and had been all alone. And he tried to like, let's say he tried to bum a place to crash from his next friend. Let's call her Lisa Tampanyaka. Well, Pierce tried to get try to get a place to try to bum a place off of Lisa to crash from, let's call this school Two-Step High School. And in Two-Step High, Pierce graduated but was ultimately arrested. Like let's say he was ultimately arrested for loitering around Shivington. And what had happened is that Troy had sent out a low-level police officer and his partner to search around for Pierce in the Shivington neighborhood. And lo and behold, here's a theory. Here's a theory. When Dex was alluded to by Troy, when Troy was on the phone with Dex, and it was during the events of the Vice King arc. And what had happened is like let's say when Pierce graduated high school, his parents didn't come because his parents were dead. His sister didn't come because he told his sister to move out of Stillwater. And let's say his brother was dead. And let's say the cop is Jamal. And Jamal was sent to arrest Pierce for loitering on a park bench in Shivington. And let's say it was the year 2004 when Pierce got arrested. And this was during the events of the first Saints Row game, as a theory. And Pierce happened to be arrested and spent a full year of 2005 and 2006 in jail. And let's say the events of Saints Row 2 happened around 2010. And Pierce spent a long time, 3 years to be precise, in jail. Like let's say Pierce Washington, like on his first day in jail, killed about 5 security guards in jail to be quickly moved to prison. And in prison, let's say like Pierce bumped into Johnny and knew about Johnny's exploits based on how he handled the Vice Kings alongside Playa. Now, Pierce was initially somewhat pseudo-recruited or honorary recruited into the Saints while in prison. And what had happened was Pierce, Carlos, and Shondi all met Johnny in prison. And as soon as Pierce and Shondi was released from prison, they went their separate ways until, let's say, when, let's say, during 2013, when the boss, aka Playa, was like in a coma, and the few short years plus the 2 short years and 31 days, and during that time the Saints fell, and the 3rd Street Saints had lost so much ground. Yeah.
SFPD, cease and desist. Like this. He's running. Get on him.
Let's say when Playa got out of prison with Carlos mentioned having one brother that was in the Saints that died. And it was during the events of Saints Row 1. And in prison, like Johnny, Pierce, Carlos, Shondi were all sitting around at like a table talking about how the Saints took over the city of Stillwater. And Playa was there to help. But here's like the theory. Pierce knew about Playa, but never really crossed paths with Playa. Though a couple of black female pimps in Stillwater that worked as pimps wound up being the once removed cousins of each other and of Pierce Washington. And let's say the Wheel Woman, which was another cousin of Pierce, the white-voiced black Wheel Woman from Saints Row 1. And yeah, let's say she was also a once removed cousin, but she was also the one who dropped her flags when Playa was arrested. Yeah, those who are the Saints, let's say Vicky, Will's cousin Vicky, who was in the gang but never really crossed paths, which was Pierce Washington's first girlfriend, and they didn't last very long due to constant, ever-growing drama. And what had happened is that Vicky and Pierce, they stopped being an item and grew distant and grew apart. And what had happened is that Pierce had put so much effort to maintain his way of having a way let's just say Pierce had a way of ruining his relationship with Vicky. And
but I don't know what you mean. Then we were in restaurants and everyone's all like,
yeah, like,
are they together? I'm trying to say that it spoiled our groove. It's like only 5 years or so, and where's our chill gone? You wouldn't know because you're not from here. I think you're overreacting.
and like a lot of like
Are you joking? What tablet is using a key?
like having like, in a likeliness of, like, Pierce breaking things off with Vicky really pissed Will off. And that's why Will, the pimp, the 3rd Street Saint pimp,
Stay right there. You're under
and
arrest.
Vicky wound up
You're under arrest. Don't try anything.
like let's say they wound up not crossing paths because Will would have beat the ever-loving dog shit out of Pierce. And Pierce knew it, so that's why Pierce did not reach out to Playa in Saints Row 1. Because if Pierce tried to reach out to Playa in Saints Row 1, there would have been definitely a lot of awful things to happen to Pierce. Because Will would have known and suspected it. And hear me out, guys. Here is the kicker. Pierce would have got his ass whipped. That's the only explanation of why Pierce wasn't featured in the first Saints Row game. Because Pierce would most likely would have been shot at. Like Pierce had like educational issues, family issues, like educational and familial issues. And what had happened is that
You're under arrest.
Pierce had a hard life before joining the Saints. And when Pierce, like, here's the theory
You have the right to remain silent.
of why Pierce bitches and complains in the Saints Row franchise. Like, Pierce himself had known that his life was all fucked up. And his life couldn't get any worse than it already did prior to joining the Saints. Like Pierce had such a bad time growing up. And what had happened is that Pierce, he was bullied by even the Saints themselves, which led to him ultimately getting mad, ultimately being pissed, and ultimately like contemplated on betraying the Saints. And when the Saints happened to be about like running from like
Okay, so today is my niece's birthday is coming up, and I
like
want to get her some pepper spray. She's turning 15, so it would be technically illegal for her to have it. Thing is, she told me that one of her friends got mugged a few weeks ago. Luckily, she was just mugged. Anyway, my niece has been really spooked about that. I want her to feel safe. She lives pretty close to Guerrero Street, so yeah, she should have something.
like Pierce had such a hard life. That's one of the theories. Like Pierce had grown from a sanctimoniously hated amongst his like former school friends and arrived to a situation where since how his family died, and that's why you never see his family in the Saints Row 1 game. And here's a theory. Pierce Washington, before his voice sounded the way it sounds in the game, he had a severe sore throat. A severe sore throat.
The first American movie I saw was Body Slam. I never saw a movie like that in my life. I was 8 years old. And watched it every night, 2 or 3 times in a row. The first English I learned was
And yeah. Yeah, like Pierce had like lost a lot of personal like personal friends, and he had been stuck with the Saints because that's all the family he had. All the friends he had left that he could fall back on. And Pierce had no clue that he was going to end up becoming a superstar. A global superstar and a celebrity in Saints Row the Third. And what had happened was that Pierce was all alone. Never knew what it would truly be about.
hold up.
Guys, contractor's on his way. V, contractor needs some room.
Hello? We need an ambulance here, right now.
Like,
You scared? 'Cause you should be.
So yeah, Pierce joined the Saints because he felt alone. Pierce was a broken man who pretty much lost everything before joining the Saints. And subsequently, all of his other immediate family has disowned him due to gang affiliation. And that's why he was like still stuck with the Saints.
Hey, don't say shit to the boss. I'll do the talking. Just find me.
Dispatch to squad. CTOS has identified a murder suspect near your location.